Hello and very warm welcome to all of you in this edition of Public Forum. I'm Anurag Punitha with you. F-16, the world's most widely used and most capable fourth-generation multi-role fighter planes will now come with a Made in India seal. Tata Group and American aerospace giant Lockheed Martin have signed an unprecedented deal to jointly produce F-16 fighter jets in India. First flown in 1976, the F-16 Fighting Falcon is a compact multi-role fighter aircraft. It's a proven jet both in air-to-air and air-to-ground engagements. In fact, more than 3,500 F-16 aircrafts are safeguarding the skies of more than 25 countries at present. Fast, agile, advanced and comparatively cheap F-16 is still in demand. Though there are some talks about the usefulness of the buying a fourth-generation aircraft when world's most air force are opting for the fifth-generation fighters. But majority of the experts say that why retire a fighter jet that can still outmatch today's fighter jets? The F-16 is a reliable, tested aircraft. Most of the advanced air force loves those fighter jets that are fast, agile and advanced. F-16 has all of them. Since 9/11, the F-16 has flown thousands of sorties in support of Operation Noble Eagle, that means in US Homeland Defense in US, and Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan, and Operation Iraqi Freedom. This deal has boosted Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Make in India plan and ahead of his first summit with US President Donald Trump. Under the deal, Lockheed Martin will shift its Fort Worth, Texas plant to India without directly affecting American jobs. This deal will provide India the opportunity to produce, operate and export F-16 Block 70 aircraft. So we are going to discuss about this giant step of India's Make in India project, whether it can be a game changer or not. We are going to discuss this in this edition of Public Forum with two guests. And joining me for the discussion, two guests, Mr. R. Dahiya, he is a strategic analyst. Welcome to the show, sir. And Mr. Vijayendra Thakur, he is a senior editor in geopolitics. Welcome to the show as well. We'll be starting with you. How do you see this deal? And many experts say that it can be the game changer. Or how do you see this step?
See, this is a very essential step, not only because of the requirement to replace our aircraft, the MiGs, which are getting obsolescent, but also to infuse new technology, new weapon systems, and get familiar with the way the world is fighting its air battles. We have been stuck with day-to-day technology. It's time to move on. The F-16 may be a fourth-generation fighter, but it has a lot of fifth-generation technologies.
Okay.
Most importantly, it has what is called sensor fusion. In sensor fusion, what happens is that the pilot can get a situation awareness, not only based on his own sensors, which is, let's say, the radar or the electro-optical instrument that he has. He can also get the situation based on what the ground radars are picking up, or what is being picked up by a ship's radar or by another aircraft's radar.
Okay.
So that's the kind of technology that the world has moved on to, and we need to do the same.
Okay. Your comment, I mean, how do you see this deal, and it can change the way the India is looking at the moment, or your assessment about this?
You see, the government has come out with a strategic partnership policy, which means that in 4 different areas, aircraft, helicopters, submarines, and armed fighting vehicles, they decided that 1 or 2 major companies in India who have financial muscle and also have the capability to absorb technology, they should be selected, and all RFPs, etc., must be directed at them rather than wasting this whole process and wasting time. Those companies will then find a sort of foreign vendor, original equipment manufacturer, with whom they will sign a technology transfer deal.
Okay.
And the foreign vendor will have up to a maximum 49% of equity in that whole process. And lead manager of the whole project will be the Indian company. Okay. The Indian government, of course, will have the prerogative to select not only the Indian manufacturer, but also the kind of technology that comes from outside.
Okay.
Now, this is the whole purpose is that Look, we understand nobody is going to transfer 100% technology to us in the first go.
Okay.
So therefore, we must develop manpower capabilities, and we must also develop an ecosystem in the major platforms, wherein we develop ancillaries, we develop trained manpower, we should develop design and development capabilities also, and of course manufacturing also takes place.
Okay.
So in that process, it is seen that for last about 2 years, basically it is F-16 and Saab Gripen NG who are now trying to field the Gripen E, which is the latest version.
Yeah.
As one of the two sort of aircraft that can come.
Yeah.
Indian government has made it clear that besides the LCA that we are developing ourselves, we must also have a second line, sort of assembly line for a single engine aircraft, which is not as expensive as the Dassault aircraft is, and therefore these two companies have been pitching for whatever they can do. Gripen have actually, Saab Gripen have, and through their government also have said that they are going to transfer the whole assembly line to India.
But there is ambiguity as far as this deal is concerned, because Lockheed Martin didn't say the kind of the 100% technology.
Obviously,
the kind of clarity is coming from the Gripen is far more clear.
Exactly, and I mean, I personally have a doubt whether they are going to transfer 100% technology. Considering that the President of United States presently is talking of jobs in America and all that, and there is no way that if the whole plant is transferred to India that they can maintain the same number of jobs there. They can't. They probably will have a design bureau or some other people sitting over there, but there will be a loss of jobs over there. So I have that doubt. Second is that they always, America has this tendency of always keeping a control over something at the last moment. I suppose the Swedes will be more open, but then the jury is out as to which aircraft is better.
Okay.
So as far as the Indian government is concerned, it's going to take decision on 3 parameters primarily. First is the technical parameter. What does the Air Force say, whether it is a good aircraft, whether it meets all the requirements or not? That is first. Second, of course, is the finance.
Okay.
And geopolitics comes the last, I think, in this case. Because the geopolitical consideration might also decide what's going to happen. What Tatas have done is they said, look, we are making wing pylons, etc., for C-130s. We have taken C-130s from Lockheed Martin. Besides, of course, Javelin, we have signed a deal for anti-tank missiles. So they have said that in case we are given this project, then we will be partnering with Lockheed Martin. It's a proven aircraft, and therefore we should be able to, you know, they're actually sort of taking a leap forward to save time, so that they don't have to start negotiating at that particular time after they have been chosen to, you know, as one of the people. So they said, look, we are ready, and they would keep their documents ready and all that, and they'll submit it quickly enough.
Okay. So
that, I suppose, is the thing. Gripen will, in the meantime, will have to find somebody else. So most probably it is going to be Mahindra and Mahindra.
Okay.
Because Reliance, Mukesh Ambani Reliance Group had
signed the deal with
they had got the people like Vivek Lal, etc. But they have, I think, given up on that.
Okay.
And I think there is nobody else who has been working on Air Force except HAL. And HAL's hands are full. I think HAL have order books for last 15-20 years. And the government's focus is also on developing the avionics sector beyond the PSUs. So I suppose they'll be looking for private sector partner.
Okay, and your comment, Mr. Vijender. I mean, a couple of days back, the news came about that the two companies that are in competition, both the Lockheed Martin and the Gripen, and the Indian expert will test some limited test on both of the aircrafts. Right. And suddenly the news came about a couple of days back, a couple of days before, when the Prime Minister Modi is going to US. Is this a kind of do you see some geopolitical strategy or some move by both the governments to sign or to give a kind of a signal to the entire world that India is somehow giving a preference to the Lockheed Martin, the US company?
I think the government has an open mind at this stage. Firstly, this is the right time. There are two reasons. One is Paris Air Show, and then the forthcoming visit of the Prime Minister. What we are telling the world is, yes, we are serious. We are going to go for a single engine MMRCA, and F-16, we are open to it. So that's a very strong signal, but the government hasn't made up its mind. And who knows if the Swedish Saab goes far enough, which it's more likely to do, it might actually come through as the winner even now.
But that at the time of the MMRCA deal, a couple of years back, the Indian Air Force experts chose the Saab, Dassault. Okay, so why only F-16 at the moment?
The requirement is for a single engine. Now, what MOD and the Air Force have decided is that we need a single engine fighter because the cost of maintenance, life cycle costs of a single engine fighter are much lower than for a twin engine fighter. Earlier, the Air Force, according to the Air Force doctrine, they had preferred twin engine aircraft because of various reasons. Flight safety is one of them. Indian Air Force tends to fly at low levels. There are a lot of bird hits. For that reason, also twin engines are safer. If one engine fails, you can always come back. That's very evident from what has happened with Sukhois. A lot of Sukhois have come back with a single engine failure.
Okay.
All those Sukhois would have been lost. But in this case, a conscious decision has been taken that we want a single engine because we are concerned about life cycle, and we will take care of flight safety issues based on the reliability of an engine, which both F-16 as well as Saab Gripen have very reliable engines.
So technically asking, it's a long road ahead as far as the making of this F-16 aircraft in India is concerned, because government has to finalize.
I think first, the request for information will be sent, of course. But why the point that you raised, let me answer that question as to why limited trials. You see, the government has rightly decided that when you are sure that you need a particular kind of aircraft, at that time, don't start reinventing the wheel.
Okay.
Go in for those kind of equipments which are proven and which are in competition at the top level technologically, etc., so that your trial time is compacted.
Okay.
I mean, it becomes the decision making becomes faster consequentially. So therefore, what the government has done is that they will be asking for these two to send their equipment for trial. It will be tried out in various kind of terrain, in high altitude, in deserts, and in plains, etc., at sea level, etc. And then whichever does better, then the price will be seen. Which price, at what who's offering at what price, and what kind of technology that they are ready to transfer. We are interested that hereafter, whatever aircraft that we produce must be designed in India, developed in India, and manufactured in India.
Okay.
So this should be a step in that direction. And that's what the government will be trying to achieve.
But we are in talks with the Russians as well about the co-developing and co-producing.
That is another, like my colleagues here said, that's a different kind of technology. That's a different kind of thing. That is talking about $25 billion for 100 aircraft and all that. We can't really be spending that kind of money on every piece of equipment. Presently, we need numbers.
Okay.
Because we have come down to 32 squadrons against the requirement of 42.5 squadrons.
Okay.
And this might go down further in case we don't get the aircraft quickly to replace the aging, MiG-21s and MiG-27s now. So therefore, we require numbers, and we require those numbers quickly. So therefore, the single-engine aircraft will do some work in the meantime, and in the meantime, we'll go in for fifth-generation aircraft.
Okay, so time is a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about that. Despite its age, it's a very capable fighter, and if fitted with the right system, some say that it's not suitable for every theater, and it depends on the level of sophistication of the enemy's weapons. So we are going to discuss about the usefulness of this F-16 aircraft after the short break. Discussing about that Lockheed Martin got into the deal with India's company Tata to co-produce F-16 fighter jet, and this deal has boosted Prime Minister Modi's Make in India plan, and ahead of his first summit with US President Donald Trump. And under the deal, Lockheed will shift its Fort Worth, Texas plant to India without directly affecting the American jobs. And this deal will provide India the opportunity to produce, operate, and export F-16. This possibility, how do you see that India? Let's say, if both the companies get the deal from the Indian government, they will co-produce the jet and will export to the other nations as well.
Yeah, I suppose. What India has been saying is this, that any company with whom we do the business.
But who will have the say?
Yeah, it's a India will have a say,
Okay.
but always remember that in arms manufacturing and all that, the contracts are drawn up in a manner that the original equipment manufacturer will also get directions from its own government. So in a way it becomes, like for example, we had BrahMos missile. In BrahMos missile, both Indian government and the Russian government have to agree to sell it to a third party.
Yeah.
But that is not a big deal because there are a large number of people who will be ready to buy, particularly any weapon system that has been used by Indian armed forces because it is used in all kinds of terrains. And the equipment is really flogged in India. And if India finds that equipment suitable, then there are many other countries who are ready to take it without trial.
But will it not be detrimental because the Pakistan uses F-16?
Yeah, that is where the issue comes, the geopolitical issues and all that come.
Exactly.
You see, presently out of our 4,000 F-16s that have been produced so far, there are about 3,200 which are still in service world over. And the assembly lines exist in Turkey, in Belgium, and many other places, 5-6 countries where assembly lines exist. It has been used by many countries. Of course, it starts from right from Block A, Block B to now Block 70.
Block 70.
Block 70 was given to UAE last. I think UAE was the last consumer of Block 70, which has a lot of features of not only 4th generation but 5th generation aircraft. But the fact of the matter is, it's an old platform.
Okay.
Old platform means that you can't improve it very much. A new platform gives you a scope for improving more and more. And it's not as if you can just add one more plate here and one more plate there, because after all, aerodynamics get affected by it and all. So the problem is there, that it is an old aircraft. Old platform, although you can still make some adjustments and all that. I know that it's going to be good for another 15-20 years, it will be good. But there is a possibility that Gryphon will be good for maybe 30-40 years more.
Okay. Mr. Vijender, I mean, Donald Trump has openly criticized the American companies who move their operational manufacturing plant outside of the US. But now, with the kind of market that India has, Lockheed has get into the deal with the Tatas. It is a kind of the signal from the US administration as well to go ahead with the deal?
I think there are a couple of points over here that need to be stressed. One is that as of now, though Lockheed Martin had earlier said that they will shift their Fort Worth plant, but they haven't said it in the recent statement because they have possibly more orders coming their way.
Okay.
So it's quite likely that they will create an alternative assembly line in India.
Okay.
In which case, what is going to happen is you're going to give a boost to Lockheed Martin jobs in the US, because initially, first they will make a set of aircraft in the US and then send it to India. Then they'll give you kits from which you assemble in India. All the components that go into the kits, the major assemblies, would be manufactured in the US. So there's going to be a lot of job creation in the US.
Okay.
Yes, the extent of job creation would not be it wouldn't be to the same extent as let's say if they set up an alternative plant in the US, but still from a single plant in the US, operating in the US, and a plant in India, there would be a increase of jobs in the US. So
okay.
that aspect is taken care of. This is not in violation at all of US sensibilities or Trump's policies.
But is it clear in terms that whether they are going to change only the plant here? I mean, they're going to move the plant only, or the TOT, how much TOT they are going to give to the Indian company, let's say Tata, or there is some ambiguity is still there?
Full TOT is
not
whatever
possible.
It's a political thing. It's not possible. There is no, because your industrial base has to match the technology that you're trying to imbibe, which is never the case. By the time your industrial base catches up with the technology has changed. So that's another aspect of it. We need the new technology or the new way of working, but to hope that like we will be able to imbibe it and put it in the set of Lockheed Martin F-16 that we are making in India, it's not going to be possible.
Okay, I mean
Let me say something here. Two issues. One issue is this, that if Lockheed Martin manages to sell F-16 to India, then there will be other players also who would like to buy it.
Yeah.
American Air Force hasn't bought a single F-16 after 1999, except perhaps for a replacement aircraft, which after damage and all that. So after 99, the plant has been running basically on exports, and those exports are few and far between. 6 aircraft from here, 10 aircraft from here, and also that. So India wouldn't find it lucrative actually, even to consider it seriously, if America was to continue a parallel manufacturing facility over there. Because then, you see, after all, Indian company establishing a plant over here would also expect that they should be able to export it after meeting the Indian requirement and all that.
Okay.
So, to make it cost effective.
Okay.
So that's very, very important issue. Secondly, about the technology transfer. You see, each weapon system like an aircraft has large number of components and large number of technologies involved in it. Some technologies in which they've already advanced and gone beyond, they wouldn't mind transferring at all. But there are some technologies which are also state of the art, and those are the technologies they like to handle themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
Even in Gryphon, let me also admit that there are a large number of technologies, American technologies. So there might be issues with regard to transfer of those technologies without permission from America.
So come what may, I mean, a few of the experts are saying that India is becoming the dumping ground of the obsolete weaponry of the world. And
that is not possible.
Or do you believe that this is a step forward, move forward, and it is going to benefit Indian manufacturing, defense manufacturing industry at large?
Well, you see, a very simple thing is this, that if they are going to just dump whatever is already known to India, I mean, India is not going to accept that. We also, I'm sure, our people who are going to be negotiating it have a list of technologies that they want.
Okay.
And unless those technologies are given, then the deal is not signed. Or whoever offers the best deal out of those technologies that we want. For example, we may want sensors, we may want avionics, we may want this, we may want that. So we will also have our priority list. If that priority list is not met, then the deal is not signed.
You also believe this is this can be kind of a game changer as far as our engineers are concerned, technicians are concerned. We will have some kind of a advantage over the years, and eventually it will come to the India.
Absolutely. You know, there is this misconception that F-16 is a 4th generation fighter. It is not. It is now a 4.5 generation fighter. If you notice what is happening in the aviation world, 5th generation fighters were introduced. It started off with the Raptor, and now you have the F-35. But in the case of Raptor, the numbers were very limited.
Yeah.
What has happened is, with the introduction of 5th generation fighters, a new lease of life has been given to 4th generation fighters, because the technologies that have gone into 5th generation fighters have been also channeled into 4th generation fighters.
Okay.
The only revolutionary technology which cannot be channeled into 4th generation fighters is stealth, low observability. So everything else, sensor fusion, super maneuverable, F-16 has always been super maneuverable. Even in '82, when I first saw it at Farnborough, it was awesome.
Okay.
You cannot see an aircraft with that kind of maneuverability even today.
That's right.
So,
and there is a comparison between the F-35 and F-16. The people, few of the experts say that F-16 is better than F-35.
Absolutely. In terms of maneuverability, it is much more maneuverable. Than
cost effectiveness wise, it is
F-35.
better, because F-13 is way beyond the price of.
And final comments about the Indian companies like Tatas, Mahindras, Adanis, and Anil Ambani's Reliance are getting into the agreement with the different companies around the world. Will it be beneficial for the Indian companies?
Absolutely. You see, any company, whether it is the government company, that's the PSU, or a private company, any Indian company developing capabilities means the Indian citizens will be trained. So we'll have a trained technical manpower.
Yeah.
We'll have ancillaries coming up. We'll have manufacturing capabilities coming up. So there will be an entire ecosystem that will change. For example, now look at the telecom sector, for example. Today your telecom sector is booming. Your car industry sector is booming. Similarly in defense industry, this is not something which can't be achieved. It can be achieved provided you have trained manpower, you have design bureaus, you have manufacturing facilities. All this can change.
Okay, timing is up, so we have to wrap up the show. Thank you very much. Mr. Daya, thank you very much, Mr. Vijayan, for coming here and talking to us. So we can say that it's a huge step forward as far as the India's defense manufacturing industry is concerned. Indians will get to know the knowledge and the know-how of a fighter aircraft. Indian companies are getting into defense productions gradually. Other nations are eager to come to India. Swedish company Saab has also promised to build what it calls a world-class fighter jet facility of Gripen E in India if it wins the order. Anil Ambani-led Reliance Group has already formed a joint venture firm with the Dassault Aviation of France of manufacturing of the 36 Rafale aircraft. The Adani Group has signed a joint venture with the Israeli firm Elbit Advanced System India Private Limited. So it's a move forward, but government has to keep an eye on the close of the transfer technology. How much technology gets transferred will be watched and analyzed closely. That's all we have in this edition of Public Forum. Thank you very much.